Our wonderful speaker is Antoinette Griffin. She is an executive coach with her own company, Griff Development, LLC. The topic is one that I'm so excited that she's talking about this because after we've been in business 20 years, it's hard to come up with a topic that we haven't really heard, but it's making a positive impression at the interview. And so she is very well qualified to talk about this. As I said, she is not only an executive coach, she is a speaker, a trainer, and a facilitator. Her company, Griff Development, provides coaching for business professionals to excel in leadership, business building, confidence and communication, and goal achievements. She also specializes in working with introverts, which is most of us. Additional current professional experience includes she was the executive director and faculty member of John Maxwell team, providing training and support for over 35,000 coaches. She is an instructor at the University of Texas Center for Professional Education. She's a graduate of UT with a degree in management and is a DISC certified human behavior consultant. She currently resides in Atlanta with her husband and business partner, John. Welcome to Austin. And we're all excited to hear what you have to say, Antoinette. Take it away.
Thank you, Kathy. And traffic wasn't bad in Austin this morning. I was able to just hop in on the meeting. It was amazing. Good morning, everybody. Well, you know that feeling of you got the interview. And either you've just started on the job search process, and so you are so excited that you've got the interview, or you've been interviewing for a while, but this interview you are super, super excited about. And so therefore, what you're doing this time is a little scary and it's a little nervous because it is the job that you think you want. And so that's what I'm going to be talking to you about today. And that is, how do you portray confidence at the interview when it's really a little nerve-wracking? How do you not only portray confidence, but how do you portray a positive impression? And what else does that look like besides being confident? It also includes being friendly, being trustworthy. So we're going to talk about those things. Now, I'm going to assume for purposes of this presentation that you are well qualified for the job. So I'm not going to get into any of that, and I'm not going to get into how to answer interview questions during this time together. I'm just going to focus on these areas. So let me go ahead, first of all, and talk about what are the barriers to that positive first impression. A lot of times it is that scariness of, oh my gosh, I'm really excited about this job interview. And so you start focusing on yourself. You start focusing on, how am I coming across and what do I say? And you really start to become inward focused. And so it's really hard to make a positive impression with others because you're so focused on yourself because of nerves. Sometimes it's just our nonverbals that are keeping us from making a positive impression, because sometimes when we're just listening and we're not talking, then what can happen so easily is we get what's called a thinking face. I'm going to keep the nice term for it here. And some of you have this because that's just your face. Some of you have it because you're introverted and you're thinking. And so that's truly your thinking face. Some of you have it because you are nervous. And so what happens is your jaw tenses up. And so you get this tenseness to your face that looks like you're not engaged when that's the last thing that you want to appear. Next is some of you have the skills and you're qualified, but it's kind of that banter of communication, that kind of the friendly communication of either an in-person or a virtual interview. And that's the part that can be your barrier, is navigating that more informal conversation before and after the actual interview. And then we're going to talk about virtual, because virtual is a whole different category, and virtual can bring up a lot of different barriers because we're not able to really capture our body language, from head to toe. It's just like right now, all you're able to see is from here on up. And that's all I'm able to relay to you. So it's easy to have barriers in the virtual setting. So most of the time, an interview is going to be their first impression of you. Unless you have contacted them before and you know them, or you've been on an interview with them before, then this is your first time to be able to have a first impression with them. And Ann Damaris and Valerie White wrote a book called First Impressions. And I love what they say is in that first impression, others see only this little sample of you, this tiny percentage of your life, but to them, to that interviewer, that sample represents 100% of what they know of you. So that tiny sample's all they have to work with, yet they're going to unconsciously assume that that sample is a representation of all of you. So the interview can be the deal maker or the deal breaker, because they're basing everything, qualifications, your hard skills, competition, you're neck and neck with your competition. So what does it come down to? So often it comes down to that interview and just how you're portraying yourself. So like I said, we're going to talk about three things. We're going to talk about how to make a confident first impression in the interview, how to make a friendly impression, and how to make a trustworthy impression. So when you think about confidence, when you think about somebody, and I'm going to have y'all either type in chat or unmute yourself, because I do want to hear from y'all. So when you think of somebody who's confident in an interview, what do confident people do? What does someone who is confident in an interview, what do they do? Type that in chat or unmute yourself. Okay, so we have some. Smile, make eye contact, eye contact, eye contact. That's a popular one. Speak clearly, yes. Friendly, relaxed. They don't say or fidget. I'm smiling because I'm actually going to be talking about some of these things, these exact things. Good posture, yes. Smile, positive facial expressions, asking questions, making the other person feel comfortable. Relaxed tone. You don't have a lot of thinking pauses. Good listener. Take time speaking. No shrugging. Some of you said firm handshake. So engaged. Yes. Well, thank you. You would think that I got with you before this because you're going to see a lot of these things pop up in my presentation. Yes. So all of those things are the confident impression. And so we're going to talk about those, some of those. So body language. Body language is huge. And some of you talked about that. Eye contact, that was a big one that you all mentioned. So eye contact really is huge. And we all know that, but sometimes when you think about eye contact, especially in like an interview setting, you're thinking, well, what's too much and versus what's not enough? Because have you ever been with somebody that they're like, even if it's not an interview, even if it's just a personal conversation, and they have this like laser look into your eyes and there's never a break. And when people do that to me, I start feeling like really uncomfortable, like, oh my gosh, I got to get a break from this person's eye contact because they're just like, just this constant, just piercing